Welcome to another live stream appointment of today's Communicators. I'm your host, Kris Reichert. I am a Speak with Impact coach. And right now we are multi-streaming to 4 platforms. We're streaming live to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook Business, and also to LinkedIn. So I'd like to say hello to anybody joining the live stream. Today in the studios, I've got a very special guest. She is, first off, a very dear friend of mine. She is a branding, marketing, and communications expert. She's also co-founder of Toni and Guy Italia, and she is a tricultural entrepreneur. What is that? Born in Singapore, did her business degree in London, and now she's a resident of Italy. I'd like to welcome you all, Charity Cheah. Hello, Charity. How are you?
Hi, Kris. Thank you so much for having me on your show. What a great honor, number one, and a pleasure. This is my first time doing it, so I hope it's okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're all remote working, so I see you're in
Yes.
your home studios. I'm in my
Yes.
virtual home studios, but yes, thank you for joining us, Charity. I'm so pleased to be able to have this conversation with you. It's always very enlightening when we speak, and I can't wait to just dive right into this conversation. I know there's a lot in store. We're going to be talking a lot about branding. You have some specific methods that you'd like to share with the viewers of this live stream. But first off, let me just ask you, what happened in 2001? You had mentioned to me in a prior conversation, somebody was calling me, about something that happened in 2001 with Milan Fashion
Yeah.
Week. And you were the first person to be able to discover, well, you were one of the first to discover and to utilize the brand D Squared. So tell me a bit about that. Tell us.
Yeah. I mean, like basically, like yeah, I've started the business in Toni and Guy, Italy in 1997 already. But then in 2001, I worked on a project with the Singapore Tourist Promotion Board. Since I'm based in Milan, so together with them, with the Singapore government office and a local production company, I had a privilege to curate the first Milan Fashion Week in Singapore. So I was sourcing out for the designers at that time. So it was D Squared, New Barrett, Marangoni, Victor Belaish. So I was able to bring all these cool designers at the time. In 2001, they were still very unknown then. First time into the Singapore market. So we did our first whole week of Milan Fashion Week, the first ever edition in Singapore. And that's where they introduced themselves also into the Asian market. So it was really exciting. So that was a little bit of my side stint. I've always loved to connect the both worlds, you know, even though, like you say, being tricultural, based in Milan, having very strong Asian roots, you know, I have always loved to do projects that bring the East and West together. So when I was able to do something for the Singapore government and I was able to bring talents from Milan to Singapore, I found it really exciting and very, very fulfilling. Yeah. So that was
That
that
is
project
wonderful.
then.
That sounds fantastic. You were able to bring that to Singapore. So that shows already how strong your marketing and communications and, all of your skills, how you brought them already to the table and you were able to do something so monumental already in 2001. And since then, you have been building the Toni and Guy brand for over 20 years, more or less. And so tell me a bit about that. I mean, to build a brand from scratch, because being co-founder of Toni and Guy Italia means that you began with one salon here in Italy, and then now you're at how many salons? You getting a phone call?
Well, we began with once. No, sorry guys, you know, some tech thing. We began with one salon in Milan with just 5 people, you know, and then today I'm really, really very proud of our team of more than 200 people strong. Me and my partner, we have 13 salons in Italy, one
Wow.
academy, and 28 other salons on essentials. So we have about 40 salons in our network between Toni and Guy and the essentials educated by Toni and Guy, you know. But it's a team job, you know. We started, me and my business partner, Sergio, we started with just 5 people in our team. And together today, we have more than 200 people. So it's a team's journey. You know, we are nothing without our team. So I'm very, very grateful for this journey. Yeah, so we are quite big today.
That's wonderful. You were just on my Instagram live last night. And so I got a little bit of insight as far as how important it is for you to do team building. you know,
Yes.
you believe in leadership, but you also believe in strong team building, and really so that your team is a part of every step of the way. It's not, you know, who calls the shots, who listens and obeys. It's all about, let's make our team stronger. Let's bring people to the team that are of strong value. And there aren't, you know, often you see situations where maybe a company won't want to bring in very talented people. Unfortunately, in an archaic scenario, and I hate to say it, but at times we do see this happening in Italy still, where people feel threatened. You know, companies might feel threatened, or leaders in companies might feel threatened by bringing somebody in that is more talented, more young, more talented, and more open-minded than them. And so maybe there is this push, this, you know, people aren't as accepting, let's say, but instead you've got a very Anglo-Saxon approach to this. Your mentality is wonderful when it comes to team building, bringing in people that are going to make your company stronger and that are going to bring you farther on your way.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, today is all about teamwork, you know, it's all about finding the right people on your team who have the best expertise and you make the magic together. And I think one of the, besides team empowerment, another thing that I really believe is being an ethical leader. You know, I love the word of ethical leadership, you know,
Yes.
whereby you are led by your values, you're led by your vision, and you're led by wanting to be that force of change and that force for good, you know. So I think that's very
Yeah.
important, you know.
An ethical leader, and also being humble. You know, we don't have any more space to you know, for people to be in places of power and not be able to accept where they still have to grow, and where, you know, there is room to accept criticism even that's coming their way. So yeah, absolutely, I agree 100% with that. But let's talk about branding. So 20 years you've been working on building the brand for Toni and Guy, and you have a certain method that you use. You talked to me in a prior conversation about the 7 C's of brand building. Now tell me, what are these 7 C's? This is just, I love this
Well,
conversation.
yeah, I mean, like, you know, I love to find, you know, like, you know, ways to remember certain things. I think that there are really 7 C's, the essentials in brand building. You know, the first C that I would start is with your core. You know, what's in your core values, your core beliefs, you know, like the core for us, we can also say we're in our heart, you know. So basically what's in the brand's heart, you know, the beliefs that you have, the values you have, and they cannot be 500,000. They can just be, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5. And but a brand needs to identify with those core beliefs at the heart. Okay. So,
Okay.
and the next thing you have
So
to do with those core
first C's
beliefs,
is core
yeah,
beliefs.
the first thing
7
is
C's,
your core values.
core
Your core
values.
values, your core values, your core values. So in a
Yeah.
case like an Apple, you know, the famous brand Apple, in the core values, you have innovation, you have design, you have design, innovation, technical expertise, community. So and these are and quality. These are like the core values of Apple, you know. So
Right.
everything they do, they build around that value, you know. So every brand needs to find your core values, your whys. The second C is culture. You know, so once you
Ah,
have the core beliefs, you know exactly why you do what you do. You need to build a corporate culture, because if not, you're going to be the only Jesus Christ in town sharing your message. You know, whereas you need to build a team culture, a team corporate culture that everybody understands that core beliefs and follows that values and follow the system. So it's all here. It's all about the mindset. So the corporate culture is very important. And it's
yeah.
also amazing whether you come to Toni and Guy salon, or you go to an Apple store, whether you're in Bologna or you're in Milan, you know, the service is always the same, because it's in the mentality of the people that they respond the same way, with the same passion and values. So
Yes.
core beliefs, culture. The third thing is consumer-centric. You know, in
Oh,
everything that we do today, I think that is so important in brand building is to be consumer-centric. You need to know, number one, who is your client? Who is your target client? You can't be serving everybody in the 7 billion people in this world. You know, you need to find a specific positioning, that who you're going to reach to, you know, what do they need? What do they want? Their desires, their evolution, and how can you reach them in a better way? You know, how you can deliver and over deliver your brand promise. So you need to know your target audience. and to be
Yes.
consumer-centric. So everything you do is based on how can I satisfy my clients better. So that's the third C.
Okay.
The fourth C is coherence. All right.
Nice.
So you
Yes.
have coherence means that you need to be coherent in everything you do, to deliver in the most tangible manner your values. So it right from your design, your visual design, of your colors, your layout, your logo, your graphic, everything you see on social, everything that you do has to be. Let's say that you are a brand that believes in sustainability. So everything that you do has to go around that values. So it has to have that coherence. So we are number 4
Stand
now. Are you
behind your
clear on that,
word.
or shall I?
Yeah, it's like practicing what you preach as well. You need to stand behind your word and be coherent to what your brand message is, what you're trying to convey.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so the fifth
Yeah.
C?
The fifth C is consistency.
Yes.
So it's like, that is so important, because it's like, it could be like, is your brand consistent? Is your branding consistent on all platforms? Are you just communicating in store, or are you communicating also on the web? Are you communicating digitally enough? Are you communicating on social? Let's say you're promoting something, are you just promoting in store? Are you having the same promotion running on your Instagram, your social media, on your web, on your Google My Business, Are your
Yeah.
staff talking about this? Or are your journalists understanding what you're talking about, even the press? So it's all about having the omni-channel approach, where everything you do has a whole bird's eye view, that you're touching every channel. That is so important
Absolutely.
today.
And
It's a bit like, you do.
with
Yes,
consistency, it's also, with communications, there has to absolutely be consistency, and everybody speaks about it when it comes to communications and social media, that you need to be consistent with your approach to your clients, to your audience. You have to be communicating on a daily basis, if not
absolutely.
every 2 days. But whatever you set your pace to be, you have to maintain that consistency so people can
Yes.
count on you.
Yeah,
And they can look
that's
forward
right.
to,
That's right.
that consistent approach that you have.
And that consistency, besides the approach of like you said, in terms of timing, but also the tone of voice, like if you think that your brand boy has a very professional or very intimate voice, you can't change from an intimate voice to a distinct voice, then you have another friendly voice, so it's a bit like, a fish jumping into different temperature of water. It goes crazy, because you go
Yeah.
into ice cold, and it goes to boiling hot, and it goes to lukewarm. It's like, your client doesn't know anything anymore after that time, So I think what is so, I know that's a funny analogy, but it's so true, because sometimes we forget to put ourselves in the shoes of our clients, because you want them that wherever they get in touch with your brand, whether it's in store, on Google My Business, on the website, on social media, they feel the same mood, they feel the same vibe, they see the same thing going on, they see the same consistency in branding, and your voice is the same thing, so it's really important to keep that. So we have the fifth C done on consistency, and the sixth C is very important, is commitment.
Yes.
Commitment is so important. It's a huge word, and especially today, when businesses is hard to run, because we are all going through the pandemic. Every country is different at a different space, but a leader or whoever is taking care of a brand needs to be committed. What is committed? Committed means that you do it even when you do not feel like doing it, and in business, it's really like in a life cycle. Just like we have like spring, winter, autumn, summer. There are 4 seasons in life, in the year, So in business, you will always have ups and down in setup, in growth, in plateau, and then you may have a dip, You will always have that, because that's part of life. I mean, that's what life is all about. You can't change, but you need to have the commitment to push through when your brand is at a plateau, because that's how I think it's so important, because it's not about, it's always an up, 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 because it's not realistic. You can never just go everything up, 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 You probably need to have the kind of life cycle in your business where you go up and you come down a little bit, and then you go up again. You go higher than where you were before. So it's not about perfection, it's about progression,
Right.
and it
You
takes a
go
lot
up,
of
you make
commitment,
you make some mistakes, you learn from the mistakes, you tweak your
and you
product,
go
you
up.
tweak again,
Yeah, you
and then you
tweet
go
up.
back
Yeah.
up again. Yes. It's kind
So
of
the
like that
curve is
assessment
like
period.
this. Yeah, and then it always goes up basically, but it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But then the curve is always moving forward, upwards. So because then that's realistic, because then you're seeking progress and you're seeking evolvement. You're making
Yes.
progress, and it takes a lot of commitment from every leader, whether you are the head of the company or you're even just a dependente, a worker doing your own job, to have the commitment to do your best every day,
Yes.
and business is hard to run. And I've learned that, one of the greatest things that I really want to this, when I take a commitment, it's like a marriage, you take a commitment and you make a vow, and then you say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to boost the problems. So the 6C for me is really important to consistently grow through the stages. And the last C for me is
I see.
community.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's the last C is
Wonderful.
community.
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Yeah,
fact,
it's
I just
wonderful
finished.
because it's a very important.
I was recording an ad, and it speaks very most definitely to community. I was saying that people don't buy products necessarily anymore. They buy the person that stands behind their product. So when you create a community with your people, you're creating trust, you're creating engagement, you're creating communication. And so when you have created this with your audience, you are creating a community so that they feel safe with that brand. And so in fact, it's so important now to be the person that stands behind the brand to create these communities, because it's not just the brand themselves. People need to feel that they belong.
Yes.
And in fact, so many communities have grown and expanded and have just blossomed, especially online, given the crisis that we're all going through. And so there's been this need for community, this need for online community, because we lack
Absolutely.
intimacy in our own personal lives.
Yes, and you need that connection as well, because I think,
Yes.
especially today when the pandemic hits, everybody has experienced some sense of loss of time, loss of loved ones, loss of health, loss of financial capabilities, loss of jobs, loss of physical space and freedom, because we are all,
Yeah.
locked down in our homes as well. So, and with that kind of loss, psychologically, every consumer would start taking stock about their lives, what's really important for them. So they raise their value system up,
Yeah,
they go for
exactly.
what's essential. So even more today, it's more difficult for a brand to build that trust, that community, and that brand loyalty with the consumers, because you need to step up your brand promise. You need to really walk your talk. I was just thinking yesterday, a phrase that I saw that was so lovely. It says that it takes a second. It's breaking a trust. It's like breaking a barrel of water. Whereas earning trust is like collecting droplets of water. Wow, I mean,
Beautiful.
like,
I love that. That's so nice.
y-
Now,
yeah,
tell
but it's
me,
so
okay,
true.
so it's so true. It is so true. Absolutely. So, okay, we talked about the 7 C's of branding, of brand building. Sorry, 7 C's of brand
Brand
building.
building. See?
And so, what about being in a service industry? What is unique about marketing a service industry? Because Toni and Guy, essentially,
Well,
your salon.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, service industry, so it is like, the beauticians, the hairdresser, a consulente, a consultant, like, Kris, you're in a service industry as well, because it's all
I
about
am.
services.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by service industry because, like, whereas a product industry, you see this airport, you like it, you touch it, you feel it, you buy it straight away. But in the
Yes.
service industry, you have 2-3 characteristics that's really particular. Number one is intangible. There's no way you can touch it and feel the service until you sit there consume the service, have the interaction, pay the doctor, and then you really understand that, oh my God, this is what I bought, So,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of risk in that. So there's this aspect called the intangibility of a service
Intangibility.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the brand promises are all intangible until the consumer sits there and
I like,
experience it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
call
so
it the
it's so
experiential products because it's all
that's right.
experiential. You cannot you cannot know
Absolutely.
what the product is like until you've experienced it. So yeah,
Yes,
it's
right. So with this factor that is so intangible, a lot of consumers in their head have very high risk factor. So there's very high barriers. So that makes it for brands who are in service industry, like yourself, like me, and those in the service industry, to work doubly hard to ensure that the whole consumer experience, right from the brand's reputation in the market and what they see on the newspaper, what they read on the magazines, everything that is tangible touch points about the brand has got to communicate quality already. So it starts stacking up the
yeah,
confidence to a consumer. So it's a lot more intrigante. It's a lot more difficult to brand a service than
intriguing.
to brand a product. That's
Yeah.
right. So, being a service industry, you really need to be super spot on to make sure that all forms of communication, all form of marketing, all form of brand reputation is completely in line with your values and your quality system from the start to the end. Number two, another aspect of a service industry is that it's not homogeneous because you cannot ensure that the hairdresser do the same
Right.
haircut to the same person. He's in a good mood, because maybe he's had a fight with his girlfriend the night before, so maybe the next haircut is not, or it could be like, you have to do a Zoom call, and then maybe before that you just had a problem with the plumber, So as a service provider, there's just that part of the, you providing as a human, there will always be, you're not a robot, so you cannot
There's
be
the human
homogeneous in
factor,
your
in
quality.
fact.
That's right.
Yeah.
So with that homogeneity characteristic, you have to ensure very strong training in your corporate culture. So when you have a very strong training in your DNA, in your corporate culture, then you can ensure that there is proper workflow, there is proper consultation guide, and people follow a procedure. People follow a way of being, a way of doing, a way of answering, a way of delivering your promise. So that's why training becomes very, very important for service industry. So these are
Yeah.
the usually two areas of service industry that I think is very important to remember,
Yeah.
and step up
Which
that
makes it
that
so
aspect.
unique. Yeah, it makes it so unique in the way that you would market it, your communications, and what you can guarantee and what
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's very interesting. Also, with my app, Cool Date Night, also it's the same thing. It's an experiential product, and it was difficult at times to market
Yes.
it because it's not until you try it out can you really understand how much fun it can be and whatnot. So yeah, I understand entirely what a service product is. Now, Charity, I wanted to talk to you about, there's a growing awareness in the world today of women's empowerment. And I know that you've taken a lot of initiative
Oh, yes.
to really shine the light on this and to discuss it and to help the women empowerment movement. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the initiatives that you've taken.
Okay. Well, yes, I think that today the subject of women empowerment is so important. Can you hear me,
Mhm.
Kris? Okay, good.
Yes, I
I thought
believe
I lost you for a while.
we have a small delay, I think. There's a delay in when I say something and when you hear it. So yeah, sorry about
Okay,
that.
good.
Tech
We're all good
issues.
on tech. Okay, good. Yeah, we're all learning. Okay, good. Yeah, for sure. And so basically, like especially this year, whereby we have the beautiful Kamala Harris as our Vice President of the United States, which is a huge milestone event, for the world.
Yes.
And also that it just shows that the 8th of March this year, I decided to not to just celebrate International Women's Day with the usual mimosa flower campaign or just a simple International Women's Greeting all in pink and yellow, but I wanted to make a project called the Women Connected Project. And what the Women Connected Project is actually basically connecting ordinary women, but they're extraordinary in what they do. So they're all women picked from in their 20s to their 60s, from different parts of walks of life. So from singers, influencers, cooks, green lovers, CEOs, you name it, we have it, from fashion, from design. So I pick all these friends and family members of Toni and Guy family, and I invite them to chit chat about their journey, because every woman has a journey to share, because they don't become who they are today just like that. They are who they are today because they've gone through trials, tribulations, perhaps a difficult upbringing. So I wanted to use this style of interview style. So it was a huge project for me, trying to write all the script together with my team and work with the production people to bring out the best. So we came up with a Women Connected project, Feel Good Stories. So it runs once a week. Yeah, so we have this Feel Good Stories started from the 8th of March, so it will go on right through to April, hoping that through such sincere chit chats of such interviews, I will be able to bring out the best light in every woman, so that we can be an inspiration to people around. Did you see the videos?
A couple of videos. I've seen them on Instagram, and they're beautiful. It's you exploring. Sorry, my cat.
Thank you.
Hello. It's you exploring, the golden nuggets that every woman has, and every journey. They speak about their journeys in life and how they arrived at that certain point. And you're such a good presenter, Charity, and so it's really nice to see you also in that in that element. As presenting. So good luck with that. That sounds
so hard,
wonderful.
Though, with Italian, it's so hard to present. I get it all wrong all the time, So, but I'm learning. I think like you said, Kris, we have to always stretch, just as we are committed to growth and we are committed to stretching and excellence. So, being interviewer is not my job. I'm a businesswoman, but I'm learning to step into the role of what you do and try to be a good interviewer to bring out their best light. So I think the point is not to seek perfection and to be afraid of criticism, but just to always do what you do from your heart. When you know why you want to do what you do, you just go for it, and then you just hope that from that heart it just comes out the right message. So I'm really thankful for my team, thankful for all the women, extraordinary women who are part of this project. So stay tuned. So we keep going on this Women Connected project to the middle of April.
That's wonderful, Charity. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always going to have challenges, and as long as we move forward and accept that, we're not going to be perfect. I agree 100%. I actually just recently had some difficulty as well with launching in Italian, because even though I did 13 years of live radio, as you know, but it was different when I was launching my coaching program in Italian, because we live here in Italy. So everyone said, why don't you also launch in Italian? Because you have a following here and people remember me from when I was on television. And so I tried it out and I did the whole launch, but it was so difficult because I honestly, I was challenged when it came to translating what I do in my mother tongue, in my native tongue, English, and translating that into Italian. It just wasn't natural. So I found that it was clunky. So I think that I've tweaked it. In fact, in my business, you get, they get to the little point where, okay, something didn't work. Let's figure out what went wrong. Let's tweak it. Let's understand things better. Let's assess, and then let's move forward. And hopefully it moves up from there. So what I will do is I will coach Italians, but that when they want to improve their business communication skills in English, right? Because Italians will have to interface
in fact,
with the rest of the world.
I think also for us foreigners, it's hard to lose our accent. And also like me, I'm translating from English and Chinese. So I think Italian as my third language. So sometimes I get really confused, and it's like, I just say it directly in the English way or in the Chinese way. And in English and Chinese, we don't have the feminine and the masculine verbs, so everything is like, your friend, a friend, and not, a girlfriend or boyfriend, like in Italian or in Latin. So I got really bad in that. So my little girl just corrects me all the time, Yeah,
Probably
but like
get to
you said,
that
it's
stage
good.
too, with
Yeah,
my
I
son.
think, like you said, I think in communication, and I love your program. I think in today's communicator, one thing that's really important is to have the voice of truth. So when you have the
Yeah,
voice of truth, it does transcend all errors, grammatical errors, or all language errors, because
love that.
your soul, your truth comes out, so that's really, really impactful. That's what I think. Yeah.
I love that you said that, because we are all potentially today's communicators. We don't have to be on CNN or, or have somebody call us from a television station to get online and to communicate our message. We all have the possibility to do a live stream like we're doing now, to have a live broadcast, to
Yep.
do an Instagram live like I did with you last night. So having this potentiality, we can become today's communicators. And I love how you said that transcends language, skill, like
Yes.
criteria. It transcends criteria. We don't have to have a degree in journalism to be doing this and to communicate and to convey a strong message.
No.
So thank you for saying that. I love that. Charity, it's
Yeah.
been wonderful having you here in the studios with me today. Thank you for being available for this. I
Thank
love
you.
discussing brand identity and the journey, that it takes to create a brand and to build it from ground. So thank you. I'm sending you a big, huge virtual hug. Thanks everybody for
Thank you
joining
so
the
much,
live
Kris.
stream.
Yeah, thank you, Kris, for
Yeah.
having me. It's been great. I totally enjoyed the session. I love what you do. Thank you for being a great light in our community today to shine out for the women here, especially for the foreign women like us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Charity. And thanks, everybody. I'll be back for another appointment of today's Communicators, a multi-live stream that will be coming at you later this month. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye, Charity.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.